There's just something so warm and comforting about a hot bowl of chicken noodle soup. And for me, the Vietnamese version, or Sup Nui goes far beyond just comfort. It's a symbol of my mom's love, care, and unwavering affection. Now, as a kid, whenever I felt sick, she'd make me a bowl of this chicken noodle soup, and it would always lift me right up. So today, we're paying homage to my mom's recipe and making the best Sup Nui. And in my opinion, this is also the best variation of chicken noodle soup anywhere because of the light and delicate broth, all the fresh herbs and veggies, and the Vietnamese macaroni that has a slightly chewy and bouncy texture that absorbs all that broth. So do me a favor and make sure you like, comment, share, and save this video. Alright, y'all, remember to wash your hands. The first step is prepping our chicken. Now for this recipe, I'm using a couple pounds of chicken quarters, and I'm also throwing in a pound of chicken breast too, because Hannah and Gina prefer white meat over dark. Alternatively though, you can use a whole chicken or even drumsticks or thighs if you want instead. Now I'm just gonna scrub the chicken with kosher salt and give that a rinse with cold tap water, and I'll repeat this 1 to 2 times to help reduce some of the chicken odor. The kosher salt acts as a physical exfoliant that'll scrub away surface impurities and residues to help neutralize some of the compounds that are responsible for the chicken odor. Now, I will say I don't typically wash any of my meats unless I'm using it to make a broth. The USDA advises against it because it does promote the spread of bacteria to nearby surfaces, and rinsing the chicken alone doesn't effectively remove any bacteria, making it practically useless in my opinion. And as long as the meat is cooked properly to a safe internal temp, that'll eliminate any harmful bacteria. Anyways, just make sure you clean up any nearby surfaces, and then we'll set that chicken aside while we bring up 4 quarts of water to a boil. While that's going, we'll get the aromatics for our broth prepped. We'll start by cutting a whole onion in half, and a 2-inch knob of ginger in half as well. Then to a dry pan on high heat, we'll add our aromatics and char that off for a few minutes. Now if you have an open flame range, that'll char the onion and ginger even better. And then as another option, you can also broil it on high on the top rack of your oven as well. Then I have a medium-sized daikon and some carrots that I'll peel. And if you like this recipe and you want to learn how to make more of your favorite Vietnamese and Asian dishes, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay up to date on all my latest posts. And then once those are peeled, we'll cut that up. And as always, we can't forget to pay the daikon and carrot tax. But apparently Charlie wasn't feeling the carrot today. Charlie, eat it. Charlie, eat it. You don't like carrots, buddy? Eat it before Bentley does. Now to the pot, we'll add our chicken thighs and breast. We'll drop in our charred aromatics and our daikon. I'll save the carrots for now and add that in later because personally I don't love mushy carrots, but feel free to add them in now if you want. We'll bring this up to a rolling boil, skim off any impurities, lower the heat, and let this simmer covered for about 10 to 15 minutes or until that chicken breast is cooked through. Then I'll pull the breast, wrap it in some plastic wrap, and let that cool down before shredding later. We'll continue to let the rest of our soup simmer for another 30 to 35 minutes. And while that's going, the next step is prepping our garnishes. First up, I have a white onion that I'll cut in half, and then using my fingernail as a guide, I'll thinly slice the onion against the grain and getting them as paper thin as possible. Then I like soaking my onions in some cold water for a few minutes to help reduce some of the raw onion bite. Then I have some green onions and cilantro that I'll chop up. And then to wrap up our prep, I have some Thai chilies that I'll thinly slice for a little bit of that heat. Once we have all of our prep work done, we'll move that to the side and cook our macaroni. Now, one of the key differences to Vietnamese chicken noodle soup to the ones you might be more familiar with is the type of macaroni. And not just the shape itself, but Vietnamese macaroni is actually made with rice flour, which gives it a really unique texture that's both bouncy and chewy. So to a pot of boiling water, I'll add a big pinch of salt, and I'll cook the macaroni to the package's instructions, which says 7 to 12 minutes. And personally, I would recommend cooking the noodles towards the end of that range and cooking them through, because this type of macaroni cooked al dente is honestly too chewy in my opinion and takes away from the soup rather than allowing it to really absorb that delicate broth. When the macaroni is cooked through, I'll drain it in a colander and rinse with cold water 2 to 3 times to stop the cooking process. Then I'll toss our macaroni with a splash of oil to help prevent the noodles from sticking together. Now that we have our macaroni and garnishes done, we'll pull out the charred aromatics and the chicken thighs from our pot. Then we'll add in our carrots and let this simmer for another 10 to 15 minutes or until the carrots are fork tender. To finish our broth, we'll season it with a 1-inch nub of rock sugar, 2 tablespoons of MSG, and 4 tablespoons of fish sauce. As always, I recommend seasoning to taste, as everybody's palate and preferences are different, and the rule of thumb is that you can always add more seasoning, but you can't take it out. Now the last step is shredding our chicken and making our bowl. With a lot of traditional Vietnamese dishes, hand shredding chicken is typically the move, but if you want, you can also cut the chicken up instead. Use this recipe as a foundation and adapt it to your preferences. Once our chicken is shredded, it's time to plate. To a large bowl, we'll add in some of our macaroni noodles. We'll top that with our shredded chicken. Ladle in some of that broth along with some carrots and daikon, and just take a second to admire how clean and light that broth looks. We'll garnish our bowl with some green onions, white onions, cilantro, fried shallots, a little bit of our Thai chilies, and some fresh ground black pepper. And just like that, you've made Vietnamese chicken noodle soup, or Sup Nui at home. As always, the recipe and measurements are on my blog at feedthepudge.com. Now, I hope that when you try this recipe, you feel all the love and care that's gone into making it, and it really nourishes your mind, body, and soul. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments section, what's an at-home remedy that you swear by when you're feeling under the weather? Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
So comforting.
Honestly, it's so good. This feels like a warm hug in a bowl.